podcast.
Kronk and the Bro.
All right. Welcome, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. So, last episode did not end well for me. Someone over here is on a little winning streak recently. It's two in a row.
Well,
won two book reports in a row.
Winning a lot of challenges recently, but this one was pretty epic because you had to watch a very torturous movie.
Yes.
Because you lost.
Yes. So, the beginning of this episode, if you guys missed the last episode, I lost the trivia, and now I had to watch Pretty Woman.
Ooh.
All right. So,
can't wait. Oh, it's so colorful.
So yeah, this is my. I guess we're calling. I love that we call them book reports as usual, even though it's a movie report.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an oral /book report style format.
Right. I did love watching you watch this movie. It was pretty great.
Oh, man. Yep. That's pretty twisted of you, but
what can I say? What can I say? It's all part of the game.
Now, I will say, I'll start off by saying that this wasn't as bad as Bridget Jones' Diary.
See, I told you.
Okay, I was nervous. Bridget Jones' Diary was brutal. That was the worst. I think that's been the worst one so far out of between the two.
Debatable.
All right. Well,
between the two, yes, I would agree for sure that Bridget Jones was worse than Pretty Woman.
Which is terrible because these are all actors and actresses that I actually like, and I have these movies. They just, I don't know, not for me. Just not for me.
No,
if you enjoy them, I'm happy you enjoy them. Yeah, I'm happy other people enjoy them. I guess I'm happy for that. So, all right. So, here is my oral book report on Pretty Woman. Hello, class. Kronk has once again made me watch another stupid chick flick. According to the streaming platform description, this movie did not need any synopsis related to the story. The platform decided on, I quote, a classic rags to riches love story. This movie was the 1990 film Pretty Woman.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is supposed to be a classic comedy, but took over 15 minutes for the first joke. Richard Gere, a.k.a. Edward, lets a hooker, a.k.a. Julia Roberts, drive George Costanza's car. Ed finds out it would cost $100 for the night with Vivian. He says, pretty stiff, to which Vivian replies, no, but it's got potential, after reaching over to touch his weenie. Ed decides to use the hooker to help close a lucrative business deal by trusting a prostitute with a credit card to buy clothes and jewelry. George Costanza finds out that his business partner is using a hooker to seal the deal and attempts to ruin their relationship simply by telling Julia Roberts that she is a hooker.
Mm-hmm.
That is where the plot begins. How can a traveling businessman from New York survive a week in a penthouse suite in a Beverly Hills hotel? Will the $100 a night hoe keep her shit together and be able to blend in with all the other gold diggers of Los Angeles?
Mm-mm.
Of course she does. Because the movie description says it. A classic rags to riches love story. Okay? The movie ends when Ed closes the deal he traveled to town for. The ultimate plot twist. Here it is, everyone. The ultimate plot twist movie ending in cinema history happens. Vivian decides that she actually wants to get out of LA and get a real job. Before she can, Richard Gere rolls up and rescues her in a white limo, saving her from having to get a job. The end. Patrick Young, a.k.a. The Bro.
That's great.
That's the movie.
Yes.
There's no lie. This book report, an oral report, does not lie at all. Everything I just said was factual.
I know. Well, I think certain movies, they don't age well necessarily. Like, obviously you could never get some like high-end hooker for $100 a night now. I mean, I have no idea what hookers go for. But then when she had to stay the night, it was $300. But all that being said,
well, good for her. She increased her price.
I know, so she could pay her rent since her roommate spent it on
Prostitute
drugs.
muscle. Oh yeah, roommate. Oh, I forgot about her roommate.
The roommate spent it on drugs. I mean, look, I didn't write the movie. It's not like on my list of favorite movies of all time, but it is a rom-com classic. But more, you pointed this out, more rom than com.
Yeah,
it's lighthearted, but it's not specifically comedic in a lot of parts.
I actually felt bad for Julia Roberts because she was like she was like into her character more than anyone. She had like the most interesting character to play, but you could she was like she kept like sitting on stuff. She kept like sitting on the table. She kept like sitting on like a counter that she wasn't supposed to sit on. Like she was like
out of place.
She was using the space and she was getting comfortable where she wasn't supposed to. She was supposed to be like tight and stiff like Beverly Hills, like uptight, whatever. So I'll give her props for this, but I don't know. So I have these other notes here that, like I said, it's more of a drama. It was definitely more of a drama than a comedy, and there are so many opportunities where it could have been funnier because it would have been funny if Richard Gere had to deal with like a pimp of hers, like arguing about like maybe the pimp finds out that she's getting all this money for these days and she's not on her corner, quote unquote.
But she's sort of new to it. Like Julia Roberts' character is sort of new to hookering.
She's a free agent prostitute. She's a free agent hooker.
She is a free agent. So her roommate sort of got her into it, and her roommate has a pimp. Remember, she's talking about like Carlo or whatever his name is.
Carlo. Of course.
Of course, Carlo.
How could I forget Carlo? What's wrong with me?
Who spends the rent money on drugs, right? Yeah. So, I think it sounds like she's like new to it.
She's running her own racket. She's got her own place in Hollywood Boulevard being a hooker. I mean, that's her hustle. So, but yeah, and then hilarious stuff, goof ups. Actually, I want to mention this too. Whenever I hear the song "Pretty Woman," I wanted to bring this up just a shout out to everyone else who probably would agree with this. Whenever I hear the song "Pretty Woman," what movie do you think I'm thinking of?
This movie.
Nope. The movie that used this song the best for a funny montage.
Was it something? There's something about Mary.
Oh yeah, that's actually a pretty good guess. You're close, but
close. Old School.
Nope. You're getting further away.
Half Baked.
Nope.
Oh.
That's right.
Freddy Got Fingered.
No. I respect all of these guesses, by the way, but no.
Oh man.
Should I tell you? I don't want to leave you hanging. Yeah. All right. Dumb and Dumber.
Oh.
When they're getting spruced up for the ball or whatever, and they get they shave like their nails and stuff.
I know.
That is the perfect use of the song "Pretty Woman," and whenever I hear that song, I think of the movie Dumb and Dumber when they're getting ready.
No, I mean certain movies can steal songs that way. Actually, in There's Something About Mary, they do a dressing room montage, and I'm not thinking of the song right now, but anytime I hear it, I do think about that movie and that part. So it is a very powerful cinematic tool. But listen, I did it to you. I made you watch this movie because I knew it would just be like a little bit torturous for you.
Yeah, it was torturous.
And like I said, I enjoy this movie, but hadn't watched it in a long time. And I think there are parts of this movie that don't age that well. I mean, my God, it's like 30 years old now.
1990, yeah.
Crazy,
yeah.
1990.
Yeah, it's 30. That movie's 30 years old. That's crazy.
A lot has changed. But I mean, it is an interesting kind of time capsule to what movies used to be in that time. Like how movies used to be made. Now things are just made so different. But I really enjoyed watching you watch this. I mean, that was the
That's
gift.
messed up. That's messed
To
up.
me, was just oh, it was great. This wasn't even that long. Yeah, you're fine.
It's fine. Bridget Jones' Diary was worse. But what's hilarious about all this is that, like, they love it that it's a classic rags to riches tale. The funny part is
the log line is ridiculous. I agree with you on that. The log line's ridiculous. In the end, she actually wants to get her shit together. She's like, you know what? I'm done being a prostitute. I know.
She was gonna go to San Francisco and she was gonna go back to school and get a real job. But Richard Gere rescues her, like instead of the white horse, the knight on the white horse, the knight in the white limo, which they changed. It wasn't a white limo throughout the whole movie. They changed it just for that part. Obviously, you got to have a white limo instead of a white horse.
Right.
And Richard Gere rescues her from actually making something out of herself and having a real life and having real skills and education. And she gets to just be...
It's a little sexist, right? Like, she's trying to... like you said, she's trying to better herself. And she's like, I don't need the man. I'm going to take that man's money and I'm going to go back to high school. Yeah. No, I know. But...
It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
It was her dream, and she didn't want to part from her dream, so he was making her quote unquote dream come true in that circumstance.
Yeah, which is listen, she was in a crappy apartment and sharing it with I don't even know the other hooker's name. Her hooker friend. Is that her cousin or her sister? I don't know what she was supposed to. Friend.
I think a friend.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Her
other hooker friend.
Her other hooker friend. So, yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff. I'm just like, what? My notes. I don't know. It's like, what's going on here? But
yeah, I think, like I said, I consider it a time capsule.
It was
of the time and how movies were made in the time, and like I said, enjoyable for me. Really great.
That's twisted. That's twisted stuff.
Oh, come on. You do the same thing. You're probably future punishments for me. You're going to pick very specifically.
Yeah, but I'm going to pick cool movies I'm going to pick cool movies at least. I don't know.
Listen, this was a classic. You can't argue that it's not a classic.
It's not a classic. I will argue it's not a classic.
It is.
It was like, it wasn't like...
It's so a classic.
It was like bland. It wasn't really that. It wasn't like, I don't know. It wasn't like gripping. The plot didn't even start until he told George Costanza that she was a hooker. That's like really when the plot even started. He's like, oh, just stay the week with me, and I'm gonna close this deal. I'm gonna make you look nice. That was the story until George Costanza found out.
I didn't write it. I was like 2 years old when it came out, so I definitely did not write it.
Oh, Kronk. That's true. This is true. So I don't know. So that's it, everyone.
Well done. You made it. You did not fall asleep. You did it.
I don't know how I didn't, because I don't know how I didn't fall asleep. Nothing happened at all until...
It's shocking.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you that you didn't fall asleep. You did it.
I mean, at least I like Julia Roberts, and I know I've seen other stuff of Richard Gere, but I mean, I like the actors and actresses. I just, I don't know.
Yeah, no, certainly.
This movie was just good choice of punishment. I'll just say it that way. Yes. I'll give you a compliment. Very good punishment.
Well, and that's ultimately the win here.
Yeah.
That it was an effective punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old 90s, man. Good old 90s. So, yeah, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my oral report on the movie Pretty Woman.
So interesting. Now watching all those movies that like weren't in time period, they were in present day, but now you go back and you're like, wow. Kind of, I mean, even just like the fashion that the girls were wearing, right? Like the really kind of long shorts, like high-waisted.
You know what's...
Big shoulder pads are still getting phased out.
You know what's funny, too, though, is that all the major, like, luxury, like, retail fashion brands, they showed quick shots of it in the movie, but all those are still around.
That's cool.
So that's kind of like they had, like, I think Chanel was one of the major
Neiman Marcus was in there.
Yeah, and Louis Vuitton was still there. So it's like, it's kind of funny. You look at that. Anyone that watched the movie, I don't recommend anyone watches the movie, but if you happen to watch the movie and you notice that all those luxury brands are still around.
Yeah.
That they show in that movie. So they survived. They kept up with the fashion. They kept up with the trends. They kept up with all the fads.
Oh man, there were so many trends and fads from the 90s.
A ton.
Like, really kind of like out there. Like, we went from the 80s right into the 90s, where it was just sort of these like explosive kind of trends.
The 90s is probably my favorite decade.
Oh, me too. But I do wonder too if we feel that way because it was like our childhood and it was nostalgic.
It was, but and that's definitely part of it. But I just think like culturally, like so much stuff exploded, like electronics, video games, sports, music,
a decade
movies,
of transition for sure.
Everything just like took off, and every like sports league took off. Like the NHL blew up. Obviously, Michael Jordan, like he's just iconic. He's probably the most iconic athlete of all time.
Oh yeah.
And then like Wayne Gretzky was like he crushed in the 80s too, but Wayne Gretzky was still like a flag carrier for hockey. Like the 90s just like exploded with stuff, and then like obviously technology too that really advanced too. But yeah, I mean
yeah, and I think the fashion is a huge piece of that. I mean, they all work together, right? Like the athletes, for instance, drove some of the fashion choices, and then people on TV also drove some of the trends, and if people were wearing certain things on like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, for instance, or something, like then I think it would even push the trend further into popularity.
Oh yeah, if you see like basketball sneakers, I mean the 90s was like the greatest era of sneakers. It just took off.
God.
Everyone had sneakers. Yeah. Everyone had Jordans. I mean, everyone bought Jordan or some type of cool basketball sneaker. Converses were big like before the 90s, but and like Adidas had some there, but like sneakers just took off.
Right. Wasn't it that Nike wasn't originally going to offer that contract to Michael Jordan?
Yeah, I forget what happened. Yeah, it's in the Last Dance. I forget what company offered. Oh, I'm gonna. It's eating at me.
I think he wanted Adidas. Oh, I can't remember if it was the other way around.
Yeah, I think
Nike wasn't that thrilled about him, or he wasn't that thrilled about Nike. I forget. No,
I forget who talked him out of it. Someone talked him out of it, or I'm gonna forget.
No, I think Nike wasn't that established yet.
Oh no, they weren't.
Okay, so that's what it was.
They were in the running shoes.
Michael Jordan didn't want to get involved with Nike. He was preferable to Adidas.
Nike started off they started in Oregon as like a running shoe company. So they made like running shoes. They weren't really big into basketball yet.
Okay.
So I think that was part of it. I can't. It's going to drive me nuts. The internet will kill us later for this, but
I know.
It was in The Last Dance. That was a great documentary too.
That was great.
Of the 90s, but that was just cool. Like that was a cool time capsule too.
Oh.
I miss the 90s.
I know, baby.
And the late 80s was cool too. I mean, I wasn't alive that long in the 80s, but I don't know. 90s was pretty sweet.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that, there are certain fads that I sort of wish were kind of still here in a way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay if they make a comeback or if they just circle back around. Like, I loved how the 80s and the 90s did this. They embraced kind of like big natural hair. Did you ever notice that?
Huh. As you mention it now, yeah, it makes sense.
Like 80s was very much like
wild
teased
hair.
And natural and like waves were in. And of course, like I'm a curly haired girl. So, now I feel like the style is much more like smooth, blown out, curls, like pretend waves.
Right.
Like manicured, very smooth, glossy.
Yeah, girls don't have big hair anymore. They don't really do it, right? It's not really a thing.
If it is big hair, it's still like straight and big. It's not like this sort of. I
just
mean,
like bulky
frizz
around. Yeah,
was in like because you use it to sort of tease your hair out and like tons of hairspray, right? Like I mean,
so
if you look
funny.
at pictures of, I'm sure, like our moms when they had us.
Yeah.
Like it's like perfect for that.
Yeah, it's so funny. There's a picture of my friend's mom. Her hair is like super puffed out and curly, and it's like, wow, you're
With
right.
the shoulder pads
I completely the shoulder pads. It's so funny.
The shoulder pads are funny. I mean, like,
that's great.
Who invented that? Like, oh, let's find a way for women to look like more boxy on their shoulders, like football players. Oh, I know. Let's stuff something in their shirt.
That's a weird thing too. I mean, I guess
weird.
I'm trying to think how that. Someone must have had a logical reason for the shoulder pads, but I don't know. But yeah, that's funny.
Must have been some sort of structure of the clothing. Well, I think based on like the dresses of the time, I think it was to define the waist. So like, women would have sort of like a wider shoulder area, but then all the clothes would come
that's
in.
Sneaky. It makes their waist look smaller.
Yes, I think.
Oh, because that's interesting.
My mom, guilty, like she saved a lot of her clothes, and so for like Halloween, I would dig through her clothes, and I'd be like, this. And a lot of them would have like the big shoulder pads, but then they'd have like a small tight waist. So I do think it was to accentuate the waist. The
Coke bottle figure, huh? Interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
That's my theory.
There's sneaky stuff. Women have sneaky fashion stuff. Like
what else?
Like the heels are loud, so like men turn around and like look at them.
What? Really?
I heard that. Like
really?
Yeah. Like some companies make the heels loud, so that like if they're walking on like a surface, it makes more noise, and then people turn and look at the noise, and who's in like the heavy heels.
Interesting. So it's like a power move then.
I guess it's a power move. I mean,
right.
There's stuff like that.
But there are men's dress shoes that I'm sort of click clack too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think like probably expensive dress shoes probably could, but I mean heels are different. Heels are a whole nother racket. But yeah.
Yeah. But, I know. We could go down like the skirts versus pants. Rabbit hole again.
For another day.
Yeah, it really is a battle for another day. Well, I want to hear like what were your favorite fads?
I'm still kind of pissed about this because I think it's still really cool, and everyone's gonna kill me. Everyone's gonna make fun of me.
Why?
But I miss rollerblades.
Okay. That's fun.
They actually, and I'm into sports obviously, so like I remember this, but rollerblades came out. Everyone was like, rollerblades are cool. There's a movie. That movie. Yeah. Remember the movie Airborne?
Yes.
About the kids who rollerblade and like they're like that was kind of like a drama. Extreme movie comedy, but rollerblades, I think are still cool because it's like it's like the closer you're gonna get to ice skating if you don't have like ice skates.
The ice, yeah,
without the ice, and like it's good. I mean, good exercise, and like I think it's still cool. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, everyone's like, "Oh, rollerblades are lame. Rollerblades are lame," with no explanation. People are just like, "Oh, rollerblades, that's so 90s." But hey, you know what? I'm good with that.
I know.
I stand by rollerblades.
I was clumsy. On my rollerblades. So my parents made me wear like all those pads, like wrist guards, elbow guards, knee guards, helmet. Which is good, but then
you look weird. You look weird. Yeah.
Walking around kind of like a mummy on rollerblades. It's like so much padding.
Yeah. You got to basically dress like a hockey player, and then you'll look cool because you'll look like an actual hockey player.
Right.
Without looking like a clunky kid with just like your arms up like this, and you're just like...
Yeah, I was more balanced on ice skates, but rollerblades, I think because of you never know what kind of concrete you're going to roll over, so it was always
it's all inconsistent. That's
different.
The problem with rollerblades, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, do you ever think that maybe rollerblading went out of style because people got hurt? Like, is that...
I don't think so.
No?
I think like skateboarding got popular. I think skateboarding got popular after,
right?
And then people started skateboarding, and then everyone started skateboarding. Like, oh, dude, you rollerblade? Like, oh, I got a skateboard. Like, you're a loser. That's kind of what happened.
Skateboarding, and then do you think like snowboarding took off too?
Yeah, snowboard. Yeah,
I know, totally different arena of sports.
No, you're right. Snowboarding definitely took off the same time as skateboarding did because I remember in middle school that was when snowboarding really took off big time. Because I didn't really know anyone who snowboarded before, like,
No.
Like, none of my older cousins or, like, any of parents or my aunts and uncles ever snowboarded.
Right. It was just
skiing. Like 90s. Like
it was
90s
just
was
late
if
90s. They skied, but nobody really snowboarded.
Yeah, I feel like
that I knew.
Snowboarding
my
definitely
family.
launched in the late 90s, so that's probably part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think rollerblading's still cool. Like it's just good, you know, like I think street hockey's cool. I played a little bit back in the day.
But do you also think like rollerblading's not an Olympic sport, right?
No.
So maybe that's also why it died out in popularity.
Yeah, it sucks because it's actually kind of cool. I think I forget if it's
roller skating, same thing.
Roller skating,
that died out.
Yeah, they still
roller
have,
rinks.
They still have some roller. I mean, not right now, but they've had roller rinks lasted a while, and they still have them for like birthday parties and stuff. But like adults stopped using rollerblades. That's really what happened. But they had this like crazy, wacky like hockey league. It was like professional, like it was on the beach. I forget. It's in California. I forget what it's called. But they had this like hockey. They had this like hockey, rink.
Okay.
That was like rollerblading, and they had this like instead of the backboard, it like ramped up so the you could like skate up the wall and skate back down. It was like a weird style of street hockey.
That's cool.
But it was cool. But then like it didn't. There was a bunch of problems with it and all that stuff, which is actually I think it's a documentary. So I forget who carries it, but they had this summer street hockey thing because the NHL blew up. And, like, it blew up in California and, like, Arizona. They got, like, expansion teams, whatever. But, I don't know. I just miss rollerblading. I think it was pretty cool.
Well, I've seen you rollerblade, though. So, like, you're not letting it die. You're going to bring it back.
Yeah. What I want to do, I do want to play street hockey. So that's why I'm keeping the blades. So that way I can just, like, just play street hockey in a rink somewhere. So.
You're like that
but
one
not playing
guy
lacrosse. I'm
in
too
the
distracted.
in 2021. Like
the headphones and the rollerblades.
Right.
You know?
But there's a few of you.
Yeah,
there's a few rollerblading
Manhattan.
guys
I've seen a bunch of rollerbladers in Manhattan. There's not that many.
There's not.
There's
bunch.
more scooters.
There's like a handful.
No, not a bunch. There's a handful. You're right. But there's more. There's more people on scooters now. They're all motorized now. No one wants to put the work in anymore. Only the cyclists are the last diehards.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's part of it too. People have gotten a little lazy, and rollerblading is a good workout, like you're saying. Like it's tough.
Everything. It's
work.
Your core.
I mean, you get to where you're going, and then you have to get back and uphill, and
it does. Rollerblading does suck if you have to do hills. It does suck for that. So you want to just be you want to just be in a rink.
Going downhill is kind of scary too because there's
you go very fast.
Really, like I could never find like the right way to brake. It was sort of scary.
Yeah, there's different ways you can brake, but So I don't know. We've talked about rollerblading a lot.
I know,
which I'm cool with, but yeah. So and obviously this is a sad one for me, and I think a lot of people.
Okay.
But it's sad, but Blockbuster, R.I.P.
Oh, that is sad.
So,
that was great.
I know. That was the 90s.
Like,
that was
it was
cool.
part
DVD
of the experience,
out,
right? Like going to Blockbuster on a Friday or Saturday night with your friends. You pick a snack, you pick a movie and, like, you browse.
And then you pick video games, too.
Yeah.
You could rent a video game at the same time with the movie.
Video games for my N64.
Yeah.
Oh,
when
that was
PlayStation
great.
came
That
out,
way
you
you
get
could, like,
big
try
piece
the
of
game out
candy.
before you buy it.
Yeah,
loved that.
And if you plug through, you could beat a video game before you had to return it.
Right.
if you just like stayed up for like 3 nights in a row, whatever, and you could get through a video game and then return it. It's smart to just rent video games if you think about it. But but Netflix could have bought Blockbuster. I forget how much it was, but it was like
cheap.
7 or 8 million.
Right.
Netflix could have. I'm sorry. Oh, excuse me. I messed it up. Blockbuster could have bought Netflix for $7 or $8 million.
Oh my god!
And they were like, "No, it's not worth it." And now look what happened. That's like one of the biggest business failures of all time.
Yikes.
That's one of them.
Worst acquisition.
If Blockbuster bought Netflix, imagine that if they bought Netflix for $7-8 million, the executives decided, no, we don't want to spend the money on it.
Maybe they could have done both. They could have kept both alive. Like if the streaming took off, they could have kept the a handful of brick and mortars. I mean,
but Blockbuster, they had but Blockbuster, it was a failure because that was their competition. Direct mail at the time, DVDs in the mail.
Movies
before
to your
streaming.
Home.
They would just send you DVDs and stuff right to you. I mean, they should have bought them.
Oh my god!
They wouldn't even have to do anything. They could have just like let the thing operate and just own it, and then
Right. Just the parent company
they
of
would
this
have
other
completely
business.
owned
Yeah.
video streaming and all that stuff. I mean, you know, but
Yeah. No, there's nothing better than
times.
that. Like, truly, like, and also I think there's something to be said for having less options. Like, we've been there where we're scrolling through and we're like, nothing really looks good.
And you go to another platform and you look through that.
Too many selections psychologically is actually not good.
Yeah.
That's why certain restaurants, too, will just put like a finite amount of options on their menu. Those like really big menu.
Well, that's cost. That's a cost thing, too.
That is, yeah. But there's psychology behind it, too.
Oh, yeah, of course, because it helps you make a decision if with less options.
You're finding.
But also with Blockbuster, too, it's like, you had to make a choice because you knew you had to leave there. You couldn't, you know, like you were in a store, so like you knew you had to make a choice, which is smart. Mm-hmm. You have to go in there and you could see the DVD cover. You could read that. You had to pick it up and read the back of it and like see who was in it. You see Synopsis. The movie. You see the movie posters out, the life-size movie posters of like, you know, if it was like the Batman movie or something like that.
I know.
So that was pretty cool.
I was notorious for the late fees. Shocker.
No way.
No way.
You were late returning your videos? How dare you?
I know. Yeah. I would always forget, and then I'd pay the late fee.
Yeah. So.
And then I'd like watch it again because like, well, now I paid the late fee, so might as well watch it twice.
At that point, you might as well just buy the movie. I know. Late fees. That's great. Yeah. Well... So, those are the good stuff. But yeah, but there's definitely some stuff that glad that's no longer around.
Yeah, they had some sort of like out there kind of things.
Yeah. There's always things that you're like, wow, this is probably like this isn't gonna last.
Like, how did this catch on?
Yeah.
Like now in hindsight, being like,
what I never, as a kid, as like it's like as like a teenage kid, what I never wanted to do was the frosted tips.
That's great.
And I'm not making fun of anyone who did that because I think back in that era it was acceptable. But for men, the frosted tips, because like the gelled hair came on strong.
Oh, big time. Even the gelled hair for women, like I remember doing like slick back kind of things as like the big hair.
See, that's so funny. I never even noticed that women gelled their hair. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh yeah, like I mean. What's funny is sort of similar to how I'm wearing it now, but like, I think J-Lo kind of made, I mean, she was more 2000, so maybe I'm mixing up my decades. But anyway, J-Lo does the like slicked back in the front and then like kind of big wavy hair. So maybe that was more like an early 2000s trend.
But even like gelling the hair, but like, I saw the frosted tips and it just like looked weird. Like half of your hair was your natural color. And then like the top half was like
white
or like yellow or like gold.
Right.
I have, thank God, I have 0 pictures of me and I never did it. I gelled my hair, but I never did the frosted tips. Frosted tips. I'm so glad I never did.
Yeah, you really have to have straight hair for that. Like your hair is
super
curly.
Yeah, that's
I don't think it like it really has to stand straight up. But you have the musicians to thank for that trend. Because the guy from NSYNC, I think it was Lance Bass, did that.
He did the frosted tips.
He did the frosted tips. I feel like one of the Backstreet Boys did the frosted tips as well.
I think it
Kevin, I think. Maybe it was Kevin. Pat, come on.
Yeah, like I know.
Which Backstreet Boy was your favorite, Pat?
I know what they look like. I don't know their names, but yeah, but the frosted tips, that's done.
Yeah.
I'm glad men don't gel their hair and do the scattered frosted tips anymore.
Yeah, the gel was like so intense.
Yeah, they just like stick it straight up and then like pointed and it's like like little points and you're just trying to look badass. Like, no, you don't look badass.
No.
You look kind of stupid.
But
I think it looks kind of stupid.
You know what else was a trend that I'm really glad it's like gone? The thong leotards for those jazzercise videos. Do you remember that?
like the pants would be like green,
like neon green or neon purple, like very glossy, satiny, like tights, and then the friggin' thong. Oh my god! To like what? Accentuate the cheeks. Like I understand a thong has its purpose, like as underwear, right? Like no panty lines, but like what is the purpose? Can someone from the 90s and 80s, because 80s started it, but it carried over.
Yeah, 80s and 90s, the 80s and 90s, they were big on, like, bold colors.
Yes. Well, like
it was all like
tie-dyed shirts, like those big, lots of different
neon
fashion.
colors, like Wild and Crazy Kids colors on Nickelodeon.
Yes.
I mean, 80s and 90s, you can kind of loop them together because they both went crazy with colors.
Yeah, well, I think
a
lot,
nuts.
Especially because like early 90s specifically, a lot of that carryover from the 80s, because certainly Jazzercise and all, like Richard Simmons and Jane Fonda. What?
Whoa, you just triggered
what?
All the freaking gym fads from back in the day. Everyone had the videotapes. Everyone had the videotapes of the exercise, like Tybo. Was that Tybo with Billy Blanks?
Well, I can picture the Richard Simmons and the Jane Fonda ones.
Yeah.
You know, where...
Richard Simmons,
where it was more like, aerobics.
Right.
Right? Like on VHS.
Yeah.
Like women doing aerobics in their living rooms.
Yeah. That's great. The fitness stuff, the fitness videos of the 90s and 80s.
Oh my God.
So great.
But then the fashion in those fitness videos is like pretty out there, and then the headbands and the big hair.
Actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it goes back to now.
See,
now
back
I'm
to the
remembering the hair. Back to the big hair. You're right.
And the headbands.
That's so funny.
Oh my God. But yeah, I don't know what the purpose of that thong was. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, probably 20 years from now, we're gonna look at how we're dressed now and be like, why did we do that?
Oh, I know. Yeah, but I am glad that like the side ponytails fell out of style. With,
the one
big
that like
scrunchies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't. I did that. I rocked that. But you look back at pictures.
You wouldn't rock it now unless you're going to an 80s party or 90s party.
That's exactly what you would do. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. It looks cool, I guess, if you're doing an 80s, 90s party. But yeah, I've never seen anyone wear that now, so I think it's done.
Yeah, or the sweaters from the 90s. They had a line across the sleeve, a line across here, and then another line across the sleeve. If you look at episodes of Friends, you can see a lot of the 90s fashion from that show.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's actually the perfect time capsule.
That's like the perfect
oh my God.
90s time capsule, is because the majority of the earlier seasons.
Oh, definitely the gelled hair for the guys, too.
Yeah, Joey, yeah,
that's
exactly.
So funny. Friends, yeah. Man. But Frosted Tips, you can stay dead. Please stay dead.
But was there anything that like you did participate in that now you look back at pictures and you're like, oh my God, why?
You know what's really funny? Like LL Cool J, he wore like the Kangol hats, like the Kangol like golf hats. I gotta find the picture.
Amazing.
I gotta find the picture.
You need to dig up the picture of this.
I don't know if there's a picture of it though, because
oh come on, find it.
I don't know. I don't know if I got a picture of it, but I got like a Nike Kangol hat. It's like a blue Nike Kangol hat.
Well, no, I think Kangol was their own brand.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
But
it's a golfer. It's like golfing style hats, which is like if you wear it the front way and you actually golf, you still look. It's
you
still
want
not.
To know a secret?
Even that's not trendy for golf either. But what's the secret?
I had a Kangol hat too.
Oh, you did?
I just laughed at you, but I had to like laugh first. But I did have a Kangol hat.
Did you wear it out in public?
I did.
See,
you went
up another level for me.
And then I also wore it with like the terry cloth like matching set with the, you know what I'm talking about, like the velour set. You had
a match. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh come on! No idea. I have from to like see the rap videos and stuff. You must know what I'm talking about. So like it was like it's like a velour, like, you know, almost like
overalls.
No, not overalls. Like stretchy pants, like comfortable pants. But then like it was like half casual, half dressy, and then like it had like a zippered thing and a hood and.
Yeah,
I'll show you a picture.
I gotta see pictures.
It goes together with the Kangol hat for sure.
So I messed up. So I got a Nike version of a Kangol hat. I remember it was blue,
right?
And I wore it, but I don't know what happened. I lost it. I don't think I ever wore it out.
Never saw the light.
I think I bought it in the store and I thought it looked cool, and I think I went back home and I put it on and I was like, I can't wear this. I don't remember wearing it out. I genuinely don't remember wearing it out, but I will confess to buying a Nike hat,
but
golf
that
hat
means
in that
there's
style.
Probably not a picture of it then, if you never wore it out.
There might be. I don't know.
Oh man, let's dig up those archives.
I want to see Ghetto Kronk and her business.
Oh yeah, You know, I mean, that's transitioning more to the 2000s J-Lo phase where you had the hoop earrings.
You did the hoop earrings?
I also did, this was also in the 90s though, but like the two pieces that came down in the front.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah.
You did that?
Like for my school pictures and stuff. So there's photographic evidence of this. For
you went harder on the 90s than I did.
I did. I have a picture that's quintessential 90s. I think it's like 4th grade or something. The two big pieces down in the front, and then I have the sweater that I was just talking about.
That's amazing. That's awesome. That's pretty cool, Kronk.
Yeah, but I rocked those two pieces for a long time. Like, started them real thick, like, you know, Christina Aguilera style. And then, like, made them thinner and just, like, two little strands coming down. I don't know why.
It's classic.
It really is.
That's so good. And you bursted out laughing that I had the hat.
I know.
And you went
it's such
way
a double
harder.
Standard.
Oh,
I
man.
know.
That is so great. That's
to be
so
fair,
great.
Knowing you, I wouldn't picture that you would like take part of that trend.
No, I mean I was really into rap. Like I got into rap music. I don't know how I pulled this off. I was listening to like Tupac when I was like 6-7 years old.
How did your parents not realize that?
I think what happened was I must have bought. I was able to buy a bunch of CDs before they came out with the parental advisory stuff.
Oh.
And my parents were just like, "Oh, it's music. It's not like it's music." So they weren't like, "Oh, it's." And they didn't know they didn't know who the artists were.
That's true. Okay.
There were no warning labels. They didn't watch MTV or what I watched. So they were like, "Oh, he's just buying music." Okay, we bought music back in the day, like whatever.
Right, Sam Goody.
Yeah, and then I think when the mature audiences labels parental advisory, I should say, when the parental advisory stuff came out, they might have started squashing it there. But I snuck in. I got some Tupac CDs.
Wow, man. My parents
Early.
were like the opposite. My parents wouldn't let me listen to the Ace of Base cassette.
Really?
I had to go to Kim's house because I knew she had the Ace of Base cassette. And they were very hands-on with the music early on. Like,
that is so funny. You had to sneak Ace of Base, and I got Tupac easily. That's so good.
You had Tupac at age 7, and I had to sneak Ace of Base. What?
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
I have to ask them, like, what about Ace of Base was, like, risque to you?
Because they probably didn't like that the girls were, like, you know, kind of, like, dancing around and sexualized.
Maybe it was a music video thing. Maybe
if they saw the music video, it could be.
It's possible.
If they saw the Tupac music videos, my parents probably would have been like, no. Snoop Dogg and stuff.
Our parents were opposite with music. Oh my god.
Well, I think I got lucky when I bought my CDs, like I said, for the parental advisory. But yeah, and I think they were freaked out about Green Day. You had older cousins
too.
Yeah, right? I had older cousins was helpful because they had stuff and like back then
I
you
did
could
too, but yeah. I don't know. They never helped me buy cassettes or CDs.
Man, it's tough.
I know.
You had to sneak out just to listen to Ace of Base. That's like the funniest thing I've ever heard.
It's true. It's true.
My God. And meanwhile, I'm upstairs, like...
Cranking Tupac,
playing with, like, Batman action figures. That's literally, like, what my 90s... I had an awesome fucking 90s childhood.
Oh, yeah.
I was playing with Spider-Man and X-Men action figures.
Please.
Yeah. It was great.
I had all my Barbies and all my American Girl dolls, and I had a blast. So, yes, I was limited on my Ace of Base intake, but... Eventually, I think I was also the only child, so maybe they were just being more protective.
What we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to find ghetto Kronk pictures and post them on the gram.
I think we're gonna need to find some '90s goodies to post on the gram. I think you're absolutely right about that.
I mean, you put a lot of thought into it, so you're gonna have to lead the way. There's probably a couple pictures of me with some weird stuff on, but Kronk, it sounds like you went full tilt. You were New York 90s.
I can neither
you went New York 90s.
Confirm nor deny that. Yeah, I know. Maybe
that's
because
good. That's a smart legal response to that.
Yeah, I think also because of the geography, like New Hampshire didn't go as hard into the trends, right? I was really just like riding the trend.
You were ahead of everyone.
Trendsetter. How about that? Take that.
Oh my gosh, that's why you rebelled so hard. You had to sneak out for Ace of Base, and then when you had the chance, you went whole background rap girl video, and just went decked out.
Lots
cool.
the beginning of the sneaking out to do things,
It's great. Well, we're gonna end it right there because that's hilarious.
You can't top that. You can't top sneaking
I
out
see
to
Yonkers.
listen.
I gotta see Yonkers '90s Kronk. That's amazing.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for joining us for our 90s throwback. That was really fun. We might have to dive in further in a future episode because there's
another revisit episode.
Much to unpack here. I think maybe what we need to do is pull up some pictures and then dive into more trends in those pictures.
Yeah. And not watch Pretty Woman.
Evidence.
And not watch Pretty Woman.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
We'll have to hopefully
some more
watch
90s
cool
TV shows
90s
maybe. Like
90s
Blossom.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, well, figure this out.
Yep. Until next time.
That's it. All right, take care, everyone.
Kronk and the Bro is produced in partnership by House of Kronk and Young Hall. This episode is edited and mixed by Sarah Kronk. If you like what you heard, please subscribe and follow us on social media at Kronk and the Bro. Thanks for listening.